Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm super excited to share with you guys today how I achieved this quick and effortless golden goddess look. But if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button below, as well as the bell right next to it so that you'll be notified whenever I post. And also please follow me on Instagram at asialorenyt. With all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to comment what you liked about it or any other ideas that you guys have for me. Now that that's said, let's get right to the video. First off, I'm just going to moisturize my face, and I'll be using my Olay Ultra Moisture Lotion to do that. Next, I'm just going to prime my face, and I'll be using my CoverGirl TruBlend Face Primer for oily skin. This is honestly the only primer that I've ever had that really made a difference for my skin. I am extremely oily, and this keeps me matte throughout the entire day. The only problem I've been having is that I cannot find it in any of its usual places like Walmart, Target, or Ulta, so I don't know who is conspiring against me, but I need them to get it together. Next, I'll be using my NYX Dark Circle Concealer in the shade Deep, and I'll just be using this to cover any dark areas like the circles under my eyes and any red blotchy areas, just to make sure that I get a clean, smooth finish. And now I'm just going to be using my Real Techniques Beauty Blender to blend it out. Today for foundation, I'm going to be using my Collab foundation in the shade Almond. I must really look like an almond because that's the shade that is on like almost all of my foundations. This is actually a foundation that I found at Sally's Beauty Supply, and I'm actually really surprised with how well it works. The only thing is that it is kind of on the expensive side for what I would consider a drugstore brand. It was $15, but I mean, it has a great finish, so I'm really not complaining. And today for my concealer, I'll be using my NYX Full Coverage Concealer. Sorry, I cannot get this thing to focus, but I'll be using it in the shade Beige. And I'm just going to be using this to highlight any parts of my face that I really want to stand out. Next, I'll just be using the same brush that I used for my foundation to buff that out. Just really want to take the time to stress how important it is to blend your makeup. Nobody is rushing you, and even if they are, go downstairs one time with an unblended face and I promise you they won't do it again. For my cream contour today, I'll be using the NYX HD Studio Concealer in the shade Deep Rich. And I'll just be blending that out with my silicone beauty blender, and I highly recommend that you get one of these because it blends so seamlessly with your makeup. Like, it's perfect. I don't know how to describe it, but you definitely need to get one. Next, I will be setting my foundation, and I like to mix powders to get the perfect shade for me. So I'll be using the Makeup Revolution Luxury Baking Powder in Banana and Terracotta. And I'm just going to use a brush to set my entire face. Now I'm just going to go back in with the same mixture on my Real Techniques Beauty Blender, and I'm just going to use that to bake. This is 1000% necessary for me because of how oily my skin is, but if you have normal to dry skin, please feel free to skip this step. Now I'm just going to be using a spoolie to shape up my brows. Next, I'm going to be going in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo in the shade Chocolate, and I'm going to be using the darker shade to outline my brows. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it on the record that I like for my eyebrows to be thicker than me, so if that is not for you, please feel free to do a more natural brow. I am just showing you guys how I achieve my brow look. Now I'm going to be using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Ebony to fill in my brows.
Oh my God!
Now I'm just going to be going back in with that darker brow powder, and I'm just going to be setting the tail of my brow. Now I'm going to be using the lighter shade, and I'm going to be using that to fill in the front of my brows. I like to brush up when I get to the front of my brows since my brows are so sparse. This kind of darkens the hairs right there at the front and makes my brows look more natural. Now I'm just going to be using that same concealer from earlier, and I'm just going to line up my brows. Now I'm going to use whatever powder is left on that beauty blender to set that. Now I'm going to be using my Morphe 350 palette. I'm going to be using this neutral beige shade to set my lid. Now I'm going back in with this warm brown, and I'm going to be using that as my transition shade. Now I'm going to mix these two cool brown tones, and I'm going to be using those for my corner. Next, I'm just going to go back in with my original transition shade, and I'm going to use that to buff out any harsh lines. Now I'm going to be using my NYX Pigment Primer, and I'm just going to set that on the base of my lid. Now for my lid shade, I'm going to be using my Bitzy Metallic Cream Eyeshadow in the shade Gold Mine. Next, I'll be going in with my Catrice liquid eyeliner, and this eyeliner is honestly perfect. Like, it gives you the perfect shade of black, and then the felt tip pen makes it super easy to use. Next, I'm going to be applying my Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. I prefer to put on my mascara before my lashes, so my lashes don't get product buildup, and that way I can get more uses out of them. Now I'll be using my Benefit Cosmetics Lash Glue to apply my lashes. These are some mink lashes that I got off of Amazon. I have no idea how to pronounce the name, so I'm not even going to try, but I'll make sure to leave a link in my description box for you guys. Now, since I'm an extremely extra person, I of course want my eyes to be golden too, so I'm going to be using some hazel contacts that I have. I don't really remember exactly where I got them from, but I do remember the time that I got them, so I will dig through my email and I'll make sure I leave a link for you guys. Now I'm just going to be using a fluffy brush to remove any excess powder that I had left over from baking, which really is not much. My skin is just so oily that it really just soaks up all of that powder. Next, I'll be going back in with my Morphe palette, and I'll be using this dark brown shade to emphasize the outer corners of my eyes. Once I'm done with that, I'll be going back in with that gold shade, and this just adds a pop of color on my bottom lash line. Now I'm just going back in with my mascara on my bottom lashes. For my waterline, I'm going to be using Maybelline Eyestudio Gel Liner in the shade Blackest Black. Next, I'll be using my Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette in the shade Medium to Dark, and I'll be using the Contour and Sculpt shades to contour. Now I'm just going to be using a fluffy brush to buff that out. Whenever I'm blending my contours, I always make sure to use a buffing motion. That way I don't have any sharp lines. Now I'll be taking the Make Me Blush palette from H&M, and I'll be using the bronze shade for my blush. And I just want to make sure that I blend that out. For my highlight, I'll be using the Laura Mercier Face Illuminator in the shade Addiction, and this palette is honestly so pretty. Look at that highlighter. I'll also be using my Black Radiance highlighter. This highlighter is honestly so vibrant that it really honestly works better in my opinion than the Laura Mercier. But considering how much I spent on the Laura Mercier, it honestly hurts my feelings to even say that. Now I'll just be going back in with that Black Radiance highlighter, and I'll just be highlighting all my detailed areas that I really want to stand out. Now I'll be using my L'Oreal Infallible Metallic Lip Paint in the shade Caged. Next, I'm going to coat my lips in the NYX Pigment Primer, and then I'm going to use that gold eyeshadow and pack it onto my lips. And that's the final look, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you guys. Please let me know if it was. Also, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.